I was enjoying a quiet Sunday morning with a cup of tea when I heard the loudest splash I've ever heard in my 40 years. Looking out from my kitchen window, I saw the neighborhood association president, Linda Harper, flailing in my backyard pond. Her aluminum ladder lay nearby, half submerged and looking like a defeated snake. What made it worse? That ladder was set right against the fence peeking into my yard. Linda had been spying on me, and now gravity gave her a spectacular fall. I didn't realize this was only the start of a months-long battle of wills that would put any thriller to shame. Let me describe Willow Creek Estates, where I just moved 6 months earlier. It wasn't your average suburb. Everything was rigidly controlled. Every mailbox painted the exact shade of forest green, lawns manicured to uniform perfection, and neighbors who acted more like extras in a controlled TV show than real people. The houses looked like copies of each other, built to enforce a strange idea of harmony. I had chosen Willow Creek because I wanted peace after a messy divorce. My ex had taken half my belongings and nearly all my trust. I wanted nothing more than to come home, work on my freelance cybersecurity projects, and maybe grow some vegetables in peace. Linda Harper was the self-declared ruler of this cookie-cutter paradise. A former corporate attorney in her late 40s, she had turned the neighborhood association into her personal fiefdom. She lived in the largest house on the cul-de-sac, wore business attire every day, even for dog walks, and wielded her authority with the subtlety of a drill sergeant wrapped in silk. Neighbors whispered that if you crossed Linda, you'd get slapped with petty fines, surprise inspections, and harassment until you either gave in or moved out. The morning of her pond plunge, I was exhausted from a late night tightening security protocols for a client downtown. I worked as a security consultant, mostly designing systems to keep intruders out. Ironically, the biggest threat in my life was standing waist-deep in my pond, wearing a soaked cream-colored suit and clutching binoculars in one hand, try to grab her purse from the water with the other. "Ethan," she called, glaring at me as if I had pushed her in. "Your water feature is a hazard. The association rules say all water must be secured." Even dripping wet, she was trying to make me out as the bad guy. I helped her out of the pond, noticing that her ladder was perfectly angled to peer over my 8-foot privacy fence, right into the small workspace where I often did my writing. "I was just checking that maple tree," she claimed, gesturing at a healthy tree far from my property line. Her tone was pure fake concern. That afternoon, after drying off and retrieving her binoculars from the pond, I received an email from the Willow Creek Association. The subject, Violation Notice Number 001, Immediate Action Required. It read like a legal attack, accusing me of 32 different rule breaks, from trash placement to paint colors, all minor and absurd. I realized immediately, this wasn't about rules. It was personal. Linda had declared war, but she didn't know I knew security, inside and out. Over the next few weeks, my mailbox became a battleground. Each morning brought a new, nitpicky violation. Hoses coiled wrong, lights too bright, unauthorized bird feeders. One day, I was fined for having a garden gnome, Max, a gift for my sister. Linda called him offensive to neighborhood aesthetics. I started to wonder if Linda had superhuman eyesight or was just insanely bored. Curious, I walked around the neighborhood. It turns out Linda had recruited a squad of neighbors to spy and report on each other. Mrs. Barnes, 2 doors down, kept a detailed notebook tracking when neighbors took out their garbage. Mr. Collins logged lawn mowing schedules like an agent. I talked to my neighbor, Jamie Lee, who looked worn out from years of Linda's harassment. "She got me for my doormat being a few inches off center," he whispered nervously. "My wife says I'm losing it, but if I don't play by her rules, the fines never stop." Linda wasn't just a difficult neighbor. She was a tyrant with an army. That night, surrounded by piles of violation letters, I pieced together a pattern. These attacks weren't random. They were timed and detailed, meant to break me. But here's the twist. I'd spent years designing security systems for high-profile clients. I knew surveillance, the technology, and the psychology. And then I saw the irony. Linda was spying on me through the very neighborhood cameras I had installed. Backstory: Willow Creek was developed by Evergreen Properties, and the developer had hired me to create a subtle, high-tech security system. 47 hidden cameras disguised as rocks, street lamps, and tree branches, all controlled by an AI hub that could tell a raccoon from a burglar. Residents had access only to cameras covering their own yards. The association board had limited access to public areas. But Linda had hacked into 12 cameras illegally and was watching neighbors like a creepy reality TV director, collecting dirt to use as blackmail. She was planting fake evidence, moving garden gnomes, shifting trash cans, even scattering birdseed to attract undesirable wildlife. One night, I caught her sneaking into my garden at 2 a.m., planting something near my tomato plants, then photographing it to create a violation. I recorded everything. Linda had no idea her every move was being tracked by the system she'd hijacked. I decided it was time to fight back. I announced a system upgrade with new security features that would enhance community safety and compliance. It sounded official to the neighbors, but sent Linda into a panic. She frantically tried to hack into the system, all while I logged her every move. Then, I staged a performance of paranoia, obsessively checking cameras, muttering about system glitches, leaving fake technical manuals visible that detailed false override protocols. Linda took the bait and broke into my garage at 3 a.m., trying to access a fake server full of bogus data. I filmed her from multiple angles. The final act was a community meeting in the same hall where she publicly shamed me. This time, I controlled the room. I invited local police, the city attorney, and a reporter. Linda showed up ready to fight, carrying her evidence. I calmly showed the room videos of her breaking into my garage, planting evidence, spying illegally, and embezzling HOA funds. The crowd was stunned. The tide turned fast. Linda's empire collapsed in minutes. Within days, she was removed from the board unanimously. Legal charges followed: breaking and entering, theft, privacy violations, and embezzlement. The evidence was damning, and the community was behind me. Linda pleaded guilty, sentenced to prison, and faced lawsuits from families she'd driven away. Her reputation was ruined, with newspaper stories detailing her abuse of power. Willow Creek healed under new leadership, with fair rules and transparent oversight. Neighbors started block parties and community gardens. Jamie's wife even started a support group for HOA abuse survivors. My role shifted from outcast to local hero, and even those who testified against me apologized. The security system I built was no longer a weapon, but a shield for the community, managed openly and fairly. Linda tried to rebuild her life elsewhere, but became a cautionary tale about power and control. 6 months later, on another peaceful morning, I watched my garden grow, free of fear. Jamie waved from his yard, no longer measuring grass with a ruler. The neighborhood was finally home again, where respect mattered more than rules and kindness beat control. Sometimes, it takes someone falling into a pond while spying to remind us all what truly counts.